Hey, everybody. Welcome. It's Don't Worry Wednesday because it's Wednesday. And
Yep,
that's what we do on Wednesday.
that's right.
Although it wasn't what I did last Wednesday. What did you do last Wednesday, Ryan?
Last Wednesday, I sat there missing you, with all my heart, all my soul.
But Joe was
And you weren't
here.
there. You weren't there for me in my time of worry.
But Joe was there.
Of don't worry, I mean, you weren't there in my time of don't worry.
I wasn't there for your time of Don't Worry.
But
I
Joe
know.
was there, so you were kind of there because Joe was there, and
Yeah,
yeah.
it works.
No, he did great. He did great. So I was really happy to have him. Fantastic job. But yeah, nice to have you back.
Well, thank you. It's good to be back. I missed you guys a lot. There's a lot of craziness going on in my family, so I had to step out and be there for them. But I'm glad to be back here with you guys because you guys are awesome. And
Yeah,
yeah, this is a show. Oh, Steven, I know it's Thursday for you, all the way over across the world, way over there. But
yeah. What are you doing?
hey, you can pretend.
Yeah, that's true. You can always pretend.
just wait until we do this show from Kiribati.
Yeah, then it will be
Then
Wednesday for
everybody,
everybody.
no, it'll be Thursday for
I'm just kidding.
everybody,
It'll be Thursday for everybody.
except for
By the
us.
time we do this show, the only people that it will be Wednesday still for for 1 hour, I think will be people in Hawaii. Let me think. No, the Samoans, the Samoan Islands.
Hmm.
Those people will have an hour or two before it turns that
Well, no,
Thursday.
because I mean, if we start at 8,
Yeah,
it'd be
I believe the Samoans are 1 or 2 hours ahead. And then Hawaii is 3 or 4.
okay. You guys are
So
like, what is Kiribati anyway? Yeah, that's where Ryan is moving
yeah, I'm
eventually.
moving to Kiribati, which is the last time zone. And it's always between what is it, 75 and 85 degrees. Always.
Always
Their
year round.
record year round, it doesn't alter from that. Their lowest of lows was 65 on record,
Yeah,
65 degrees,
lowest
which is like,
temperature.
wow, that's not bad. And
Yeah,
their record high was 90, maybe 95.
yeah.
So it's like, wow.
I mean, here in Michigan, we fluctuate more than that.
Yeah,
There are
we get higher and
records
lower.
in the summer, just in the summer,
Yeah.
and probably in
In
the
the
fall
summer
too.
alone. Yeah, in the summer alone, we get 50s and we get 90 something.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
That's incredible. But hey, anyway, that may or may not happen. I don't know for
That
sure.
will never happen. Sorry, guys. I will
We
never
just
be
like to talk about it
comfortable.
because it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how good the internet is there. They probably got some decent internet.
Oh, I don't think so.
No, you don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay. Satellite. We have to beam you
Oh,
up to
I
a
guess
satellite.
satellite would be the only way. Yeah, satellite.
Yeah.
And there's really nothing, just like no trees.
Oh, there's palm trees.
There's palm trees.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yep. But anyway, hey, this is Don't Worry Wednesday. This is a show where
that's
we
right.
talk about you guys. We talk about your stuff, what's going on with you guys in the chat. You guys really are the star of the show, you and your topics. We just sit up here and talk about it. We're not professional therapists, counselors, or attorneys, doctors, or anything like that. We just want to be your friend and help in any way we possibly can. Um, Maybe just mostly give you some love and encouragement along the way. Maybe a little perspective because sometimes an outside perspective can make all the difference in the world. I know
Mhm.
for a fact, having been through a lot of stuff, that when you're in the middle of something, you're focused on the thing that's right in front of you and you can't see the whole picture all the time. And so it really helps to have somebody come in from the outside and just kind of be like, oh, hey, did you think about this? And then you're like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, that's a good point. So anyway,
Yeah.
but that's what we want to do, and we're not a substitute for professional counseling or therapy. In fact, there's never any shame in doing that. I'm personally looking for a counselor right now with a whole bunch of craziness going on. But having friends around you while you go through that process is so helpful. I can tell you firsthand. So anyway, we love you guys so much, and we'll see you next week. Take care.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a wonderful. How did that happen? How did we get to the end already? That's weird.
Oh yeah,
Time
no,
just
it's
flew
weird.
by.
It's just kind of wait. Yeah. Anyway, no, we're not. It's not the end of the show. This is the beginning. How you doing tonight, Ryan?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. How you doing, man?
Fabulous. Princess, how are you?
I am doing wonderfully. Thanks for asking.
That's
Ooh,
awesome.
wonderful.
Princess, for those of you who haven't been here before, Princess is our chat room hostess. She keeps us on track. She keeps the whole show on track. You know,
Yeah.
she keeps us
She does all the
organized.
hard work, really.
She does.
She actually
'cause
does.
She's got to deal with us for one thing, and that's difficult in and of itself. You know, there's a separate chat that she posts, and they're like, "Hey guys, like get back on track," you know, and she's right.
Speaking of which,
What? We're on track. This is the intro.
This
I
is the
know.
intro. Yeah, we gotta
I just thought that would be funny.
gotta cover our bases.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, okay, I'm going to the list.
Hey. But yeah, so Princess, she handles all that stuff for us, and she's awesome. Ryan is the star. I'm Joe. I'm just down here bottom
Ryan,
bunk.
I'm
Ryan
here.
is amazing.
I'm here. I made it at least.
He's also known as the P of static.
That's right. P of static. Yep, that's accurate. Now.
It's been said now. And so
It's
now,
been- yeah,
that's
now it's a thing.
exactly it. Yes. So anyway, yeah, it's awesome. So if you want to get a topic, you can put it in the chat. If you want to post a topic for us to talk about, put it in the chat. You can send us an email, dww@bss.studio. You can put it on our website at bss.studio. Or you can reach us on Discord. And I believe Princess put our contacts up there in the chat just a little bit. If you scroll up a little ways, they're right there. And you can see us. You can reach any of the three of us on DMs in Discord, or
Yep.
send us an
Put it in
email. And
messages.
email or Discord is the best way to remain anonymous.
Mhm.
And also, it would be great if you'd let us know you'd like to be anonymous. It just saves us a step. Unless you want us to message you back and say, hey, do you want to be anonymous? Which we don't mind doing that. You know, we love you guys.
Yep, that's true.
So anyway, yeah, feel free. And I'm going to go down through the list of some topics here, and I'm going to see who all is here. You guys look great tonight, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm just watching. I wasn't talking to you. I already told you
Oh.
that earlier.
Dang. Dang. I told you that earlier. Get off my show.
It's my show. I'm the host tonight.
That's right.
No, I was talking to the chat.
Yeah, I
All
know.
your words and your texts are amazing looking. So,
I love the way you guys write your A's. They're so perfect.
it's beautiful.
And the B's look great.
Yep,
C.
yep.
Anyways,
And Vanna, you are right. Ryan does look amazing.
thank you.
I love you, Ryan.
I love you too, Joe. You look
Yes.
amazing.
Thank you. I try my hardest once in a while.
I don't think I could ever pull off being bald.
Yeah, you could.
You can pull it off. That says a lot.
I got a round head.
I don't. My head is not round. I'm pretty sure my head is not round. Like, I put my head up like on the back of like a chair that's really hard, and my head goes, "Yep." Like it tilts because there's like a part of it. It's like a flat spot over here, but not over here.
Oh,
You
good.
know, and I'm just like, wow, my head is not round. That is, I could never do bald.
Hey, you know what?
People would be staring at the back of my head and be like, what?
If
What
it was
happened there?
forced upon you,
Mm.
you would pull it off just fine.
Well, yeah, I guess.
You might wear a bandana.
Oh, there you go. That's not a
Yeah.
bad idea.
Yep.
Yeah, or a hat.
Or a
Top
hat.
hat. I love top hats.
Top
Top
hat.
hats are cool.
Yeah, detective hat.
Mm-hmm. I got
Yeah,
one of them.
you do.
Yeah. I just realized my plushies are not in order. Guys, get yourself in order.
Yeah, man, come on. Holy cow.
Wow. It's like I have to move them around and do everything for them.
Yes.
All
Well-
right. What do you say we get to the show?
I think that's a great plan. And you know what? I'm going to go through the list of names here. If you are here, please let us know, and we would be happy to do your topic. And the list is as follows: Ian Lam, Ezekiel Games, Drakon, LG, Toast, Immature Success, Joe B, Anonymous, Amira, and Steven. And I know I've seen Steven here. And I think that might be the only person I've seen in here so far. Did you guys do Joe's topic last week?
No, we didn't. I
No?
offered it, but he said no.
He didn't want to do it?
Yeah, I don't know why.
He wanted to be content.
He felt like, how to be content.
He wants to be content on a day when we need
Yeah, and
content.
he was being content at that moment, and he
That's
felt
right.
like he couldn't cover the topic, how to be content. By the way, guys, it's content, but but the spelling is literally the same for both. So
Yes.
cool. Well, we got Steven with us, right?
I think so. Steven, are you still here? I saw you, man.
Steven
Not very long ago.
better not have left us. That'd be
Man,
super-
I'll tell you, if he
sad.
leaves, whew, then we won't have a topic. We'll just have to talk. Won't that be
Well,
great?
we could do Joe's.
We could?
I'm sure that he would be more. Oh, there he is. There's Steven.
Hey. All right. Perfect. So we will start with yours, Steven. And yeah, we'll go on from there. So this is called A Weird Middle Ground. And the link is in the chat now. You can click it. I just clicked it. And
Me too.
there it is. Huh. Boom. It's a beautiful looking topic. You can click that and read along with Princess as she reads it for us.
So after some thought, I figured it might be a good idea to write this out and ask you guys. I know that I might have mentioned it before to a couple of you, but I've just been struggling with friends. Lockdown is tough enough since I can't get outside to make friends. The thing I want to focus on more about before we get back into lockdown for the 8th time or something like that. I've always been someone who struggles to make friends, especially at school. And to be even more specific, kids around my age. I have enough friends, in my opinion. I'm grateful for the friends that I have now, but I could ask for more better people. Oh, maybe it is. No, I think that. Anyway, sorry. The only problem is that a lot of them are older than me by a noticeable amount. I feel that I'm influenced to be a lot like them. Not in a bad way. Well, at least I don't think it is. But it can be considered a bad way, I guess. My friends tend to influence my maturity, which I don't think is a bad thing because I've become a more mature person, and I like being a mature person. The only problem is because of this, I tend not to have many friends my age. I feel like my maturity is a little off, I guess. I don't see them as below me or anything like that. It's just a lot of the things the kids our age do are kind of embarrassing to me, or they make me feel really uncomfortable. So when it comes to school, I don't have many friends. I started hanging out with a group, and honestly, it's better than hanging out by myself. I thought that a new friendship, or I guess an old one, because I was friends with them before, is kind of off to a slow start. Not because it's bad, but because of lockdown, and I'll talk a little about lockdown after. The thing is, a lot of people my age tend to act in a way where I feel uncomfortable. There are 3 things that they tend to do that make me uncomfortable. First, many kids my age tend to use a lot of sexual jokes. Second, they tend to pick on me because they usually know that I won't pick on them back. Third, they usually hang in big groups. Sexual jokes are something that I don't appreciate. I don't want to go too much into, but a certain traumatic event comes to mind when I hear those jokes, and it stinks. They also tend to just make me feel uncomfortable in general. Being picked on isn't something that always bothers me, but I kind of have conditions for it, I guess. Before a person picks on me, I already need to feel comfortable with them. Otherwise, I end up overthinking things and tend to start believing some of the things they say about me. I tend to feel right about a person who's picking on me when I've gotten time to know them one-on-one, which is the last thing because it's a bit of a problem with kids my age. They tend to hang out in big groups, so it's really hard for me to talk one-on-one with people. I tend to feel really shy when in a group of people I'm trying to friend. I only like big groups if I've gotten the time to know each individual person or just feel comfortable with them being around since I know they won't hurt me. These are the main reasons on why I feel a little uncomfortable around people my age. And I know that there are some people who don't do certain things because they've either been caught or I've told them that I would rather them not do those things. But when I see or talk to them, I have a sense of they're uncomfortable talking to me, as if they don't like me not being able to act the way they usually do. And then I feel bad and kind of just let them act how they want to act. And that's only half the problem. I mentioned that a lot of friends are people who are older than me. I feel like everyone's probably experienced this in one way or another. But there are times you kind of feel like they're your friends because they feel responsible to look after you, or that they kind of treat you like a kid, or they look down on you. So while I feel uncomfortable with people my age, also I feel as if a few of my older friends are kind of just there because they feel like they should be there to look after me, especially the ones that are also my older sister's friends. So, like the title says, I feel like I'm some sort of middle ground in between these two age groups. It's just kind of weird that to that the on and off lockdowns aren't helping me with making friends, nor are they helping me mentally. I can't help but feel that there are so many things preventing me from making good, strong, lasting friendships. There are there are obviously things that I do that with, but the problem is that they aren't at school. And for someone who spends 6 hours at school, it just stinks. Also, I know I have a bit of hope for friends since, as I said before, I have some old friends that aren't necessarily without the problem that I mentioned, but I knew them beforehand, and it's still something I'm going to try and put effort into. With all that in mind, got any advice on how to make those strong, lasting friendships, and give you some advice on for those older friends that I reconnected with?
Mm.
From Stephen.
Wow, thank you, Stephen. There's a lot of content here, and I really appreciate the explanations. Stephen said, "Sorry for the bad English. It's okay. You know, we get the gist.
Yep.
It's definitely a tough situation. I mean, dealing with friends. When I was growing up, I didn't have a whole lot of friends at all. I had I had a lot of acquaintances, but people that I would consider friends, I had a really, really small core group. And frankly, my core group of friends there were a few that were my age, and then there were a few that were younger than me. And I didn't really have very many friends that were older than me, because I don't know why. My brother had a reputation, and so they were all his friends or something. But anyway, I definitely understand where you're coming from. The funny thing is, as you get older, and if I remember correctly, I think you're probably in high school. By the way, also, Steven, you're awesome. You're more awesome than me. I've said it now, with my voice on video. So now all that Discord stuff about us, we have this argument about who's more awesome. Steven's more awesome. Just so you know. And most of the friends I have now, I did not have in high school. There are a few friends that I did have in high school. They stood up in my wedding. I still keep in touch with them a little bit. But I'm telling you, friends nowadays with technology the way it is, it's easier to stay in touch with them. And it's easier to keep track of, how, what's going on in our lives and all that kind of stuff. But hey, sometimes our best friends we just lose touch with. Sometimes people we had no idea we would ever interact with at all, we become best of friends with. It's incredible how life can go. I mean, there's the song by Static P, Life Might Take Us, because changes happen. What's that? You don't know that one?
Don't know that one. No.
Oh, yeah. See, Ryan, you should listen to Static P. Life Might Take Us, Ryan. Should
All
listen
right,
to
well,
that song.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll try to check that one out.
Yep. I'm sure Princess would put a link in the chat so you could click it.
Thanks, Princess.
Yep, there it is. See, there you go. See,
She was already on it.
Yep. And Ryan, you should definitely listen to that after the stream. But
Yeah.
first, I want to hear what you have to say about what Steven's going through here. So, Ryan, take it away.
Actually, if you don't mind, I know that Princess has some words she wants to say on this topic, and I would like to welcome her to say those. Are you prepared for doing that?
I mean, I could, but I was prepared to go after you. Either way is fine.
I would love it if you wanted to go first.
All right, I guess I can go first.
Okay,
Please, ladies first.
ladies first.
So
That's why I'm going second, because I'm more lady than Joe.
No,
your
you're going
luscious
second
hair.
because I'm the host.
Oh, okay. That's okay. I had it all wrong. I thought that's why I was going first. My bad.
Anyway, sorry, Princess. Please, please save us.
Well, so growing up in school, I didn't have a lot of friends either. And actually, part of a big reason for that, I think, is just what I had experienced and the level of maturity that I had tended not to really fit in with those my grade. Now, I had no problem with kids who are older than me because I was the little one in the group. And they didn't find me super utterly annoying because I wasn't, doing the same things that kids my age were doing. So they tended to tolerate me, to enjoy my presence. And younger kids loved me because I tended to be someone that they looked up to, or I was able to keep their pace. And I was willing to go to their level to meet them and to, interact with them on their level. But with kids my own age, it was hard, in part because I guess, they had their expectations, I had mine, and they didn't really align that well. But I remember in 6th grade being distraught about this, because it was, for all the previous years, I had 1 or 2 friends, maybe here and there, but I didn't have a big friend group like I saw so many other people have. And I had opened up to my writing teacher about this, and she mentioned like, hey, people are going to someday appreciate, the level of maturity you bring to a, friendship relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're going to care, that they're going to be appreciative that you care about people, deeply enough, that you go out of your way to, if you consider them a friend, or even if you don't, but, for your friends, that you'll stand up for them and try to defend them and, be that sort of caring person. People will care about that more as you age, rather than in the moment where they're, focusing on perhaps other aspects. And eventually I was able to find a friend group of my own. But at some point that ended up also falling apart, which was hard. And so my sister actually adopted me into her friend group because the friends that I were around weren't that great for me. I mean, they were fine, I guess, for eating lunch with, but outside of that, they weren't necessarily, really friends with me. And so, for after school activities, or, if my friend had sisters over for a big game night, they would invite me in to be with them, and I can understand the same thing of like, when you're in someone else's friend group like that, it's a little rough because it's, on one hand, yeah, you're friends, but at the same time, there was always that tension of they are your sister's friends. They are not your friends in that same sense. Mm-hmm. Not that you can't all be friendly, but they aren't like your friends. Because first and foremost, they tend to be your sister's friend, or at least that was my situation, and I was definitely a teacher's pet, largely because, again, I had a different, I guess, level of maturity, or perhaps even just a different way of thinking that tended to not be what my classmates thought, So I had tons of adult friends. It was very easy. If I wanted a friend that was an adult, all I had to do was, walk up, talk to them and listen to them. And I know that they would listen to me, while my friends or people my grade tended not to do such things. So what I would try to know is that it's okay to be where you're at. You know, if you're a more mature person, that's not a problem. And that having friends of different ages is not a problem. Like, you know, you can have friends that are older and they probably aren't looking down on you, or if they are, you can talk to them about it. Because again, if they're going to be mature like you are, I'm sure that you can probably talk it out with them and be like, hey, you know, I feel like you're treating me like a kid, and I would prefer if you tried to treat me more like, you know, a young adult. Because, you know, you're becoming the age of an adult, and at some point, you know, that's what things will be. And unlike school, where you're kept with only people your age, in a workplace, you're going to have a variety of ages where some people are your age, some people are a few years older, some people are a few years younger, you know, but then some are like way up there and they're probably your boss. But you never know. Not saying that all bosses are old, but
No, I've had bosses that are younger than me.
yep. And that's not a problem either.
That's just
I
because I'm old.
mean,
Sorry, princess.
anyway, that's kind of the big takeaway that I want to, I guess, share with that is it's fine to have adult friends and know that they are probably more mature. And if there's something going on that, you know, you're worried about, talk to them about it, because chances are they're probably going to be open and receptive to that. And if they aren't, then I mean, I guess maybe they're like a grandma age and they feel like they're your grandma. And that's not necessarily a bad relationship to have with someone, because, you know, it's a mentoring relationship, but it might not be the friendship you're looking for.
Mm.
But that doesn't make it bad or wrong. And as for kids your age, you know, I would definitely say stick to your guns on, like, if you don't want to make jokes like that, don't make jokes like that. And if that's not, you know, if someone's going to really be your friend, which you will find friends eventually, they might not be a super plentiful amount, and that's okay. They might be super plentiful when you leave, and all of a sudden you have like 20 friends and you're like, where did all these friends come from? But again, just because you're in an age group with your people your age right now doesn't mean that that's the way it's always going to be, nor that you're going to be stuck having to make the best of that, which you can do now. But the other thing, at least for me, and again, I don't know the full situation, is there's a difference between picking on you and teasing you. And at least for me, I don't tend to let people pick on me too much, because I don't want somebody putting me down. That's not cool. It is never cool to put someone else down for your own benefit, and that includes yourself. I know it's going to happen because it happens, but, you know, that's my friend you're talking to if you're being self-deprecating. Stop being mean to my friend over there, aka you. But teasing is fine if both parties know that it's lighthearted and it's not meant to be something, which this might be the case. And again, I'm just basing this off of the words that you wrote and my understanding of them. And if people aren't willing to be that, or feel uncomfortable that they can't, like, pick on you, then that doesn't really sound like a person that wants to truly be your friend or is looking for the best for you, you know? Because if someone wants the best for you, they don't want to hurt you. They don't want to offend you. That's not the point. The point is they were trying to have fun. They were trying to be like playful or something. And if that's not coming across that way, you got to let them know, because otherwise you're being hurt by something they don't even know. And they can't do anything to change it because they can't know.
Mm-hmm.
What's the third thing? Distance is always difficult. I mean, you can try things like seeing if they'll be at a Discord server. You can try seeing if there are some online games you can play. I know there are some online things if you all like were able to phone call of some sort, or if your school has like Google Hangouts or something that you can like call over. There's plenty of browser-based games that don't require any money that you could play with a group. And it's trying to figure out ways, but I know that that's really hard, and it's hard to get to know people in that way. And in groups, you know, the thing that you could also try and do is also um you can try to see if you can, if you're in a large group and everyone's talking to each other equally, it's harder to do. But if people are break off into their own conversations, it's okay to like try and interact with someone. Obviously, it's somewhat about awareness of like if you're in a group setting and everyone's like popcorning to each other, like that that wouldn't be an appropriate time to try and talk one-on-one with someone probably. But there are times like at a lunch table, if you're all eating lunch, where the conversation isn't super popping and you can ask someone more individually, like, hey, what have you been up to today? Like what classes are you taking? Like, is there a homework that's been really bothering you? Or like, what's the highlight? Or, come up with things. Um, but you can try to create a one-on-one situation, even if you're in a group. It's just trying to find the appropriate tact and place for that. At least has been my experience. And again, as you said, well, I mean, I feel like they're teasing me, but in actuality, it hurts and it's more picking on me. Then you need to let them know. I mean, they're not going to know that. And I know that's going to be hard. And I know I'm not necessarily a guy, so I don't know about the whole intercultural, guy with guy circles. I've had interactions with, most of my friends were guys because they were straightforward and they weren't gossipy, which was one of the biggest reasons I got kicked out of girl groups or never included in the first place on girl groups. Really wasn't into that whole makeup and stuff thing, but playing tag and, running around, totally my game. But again, if that's something that you need to be like, hey, like just try not to make comments about me, like go for it. I mean, my sister teases me about my hair color, and it bothered me enough that I dyed it. And now I'm a stronger person and I'm fine with my hair color. But, I let her know that, like, hey, that crosses a line for me. Like, I know that you are lovingly trying to tease me. Do not tease me about my hair. you know? But I'm going to turn it back over to Ryan and Joe, since I have spent enough time probably speaking here. So.
Well, Princess, thank you very much. That was awesome. And yeah, Steven's got some more. I have let them know, and they didn't really stop, so I kind of broke off with them after they wouldn't stop. That's probably the smart thing to do. But yes, Ryan, I'm gonna turn it over to you right away. Right.
All right, cool. Yeah, thanks, Princess. I think you covered a lot of the topic really well. One thing that you said that I felt like is really important was that it's okay where you're at right now. Don't feel pressured by your own mind thinking that you don't have enough friends, etc. Now, I know that you said you have enough, but I just really want to emphasize that because where you're at is good. You're a good person. That's all you can really control, Stephen, is you. You can try to make friends, but ultimately the only thing you can control is you. You can't control your friends. You can't control how your friends treat you or whatever, right? You can't control how good your friends are, but you can control, at least to a decent degree, how good you are. And I think that you're already doing an exceptional job at that, Stephen. You're a fantastic person. So don't ever doubt yourself as well. What I mean by that is, I'm going to tell you straight up right now, you make for a great friend. You don't lack anything that would make you a bad friend. So don't doubt yourself and going like, the reason I don't have friends is because I'm not good enough, or the reason I don't have friends is because I'm not social enough, or the reason I don't have friends, blah, blah, blah. You can blame it on all sorts of different things. And there are some truths to that, but it's not because you're not good enough. You are awesome, Stephen. So don't doubt that. That's something that I had to learn, right? When I was going out to make friends in school, it was only through the realization that it wasn't me that was the issue. It was me being afraid of others letting them know who I was,
Mm-hmm.
right? I was afraid of being myself, so I didn't put myself out there. I was afraid of what people would say about me if I put myself out there, so I never did, right? And that was my issue. That's why I didn't make friends. For okay, I made a lot of friends in first grade and second grade. Um, but they were all girls, just because I don't know, for some reason that's what happened. And then in second grade, there was one bully who picked on me like once, and that ruined everything for me. And he wasn't even a bad kid. He was just like having a weird day that day because we were going to play on something. He was like, there was a bunch of people playing, and he was like, "No, not you." And I was like, "Ah." And then none of the girls liked me anymore,
Oh
and
man.
all of the guys, I didn't have any guy friends. So at second grade, I lost it all. I still have one friend, but anyways, um actually that might have been third grade. Yeah, that was third grade. Yeah, third grade is when that happened. So it's third grade is where I lost all my friends, and then I only had like two or three all the way up until high school, and then I gained like a couple, and then the last 2 years I had like a crazy amount of friends. And what happened in the last 2 years was basically I just stopped being afraid of what other people thought about me,
Mm-hmm.
because I discovered that, hey, I am who I am. Why hide it? I am who I am, and that's enough. And people will make friends with me if they like me. And if they don't like me, then who cares? And that's what I had to come to conclusion on. And that was my issue. I'm not saying that that's what your issue is. I'm just telling you what I had to go through. And I just want to let you know that it's not you, Steven, but it might be something that you're doing. Okay. So look into yourself. Is there any part of you that's holding yourself back? One thing that I did, I remember there was one year, actually a semester, there's one semester in school where I went to cafeteria. It was my normal lunch period. And it was the first day of the semester. I went into the lunchroom and I was like, for the first time, I don't know a single group here. Like, I don't know any of these people. None of these people are my friends. I can't find a single one of my friends sitting at any of these tables. Well, and so I just sat down at a random table and tried to make friends with them. And they were in a group, they were having a discussion. Mostly I just went and I said, "Hey, can I sit down here?" And they're like, they look at me and they say no. Then I say, "Okay, cool." Then I'll go to a different table.
Did they say no?
And then I went to huh?
They said no?
Yeah, one group said no.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. They're like, "No, that seat's taken." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And then I went somewhere else. And then I sat down with a group of people and I sat with them for a week, and I figured out, I don't think that they're the kind of people that are going to be good friends. So then I went to a different table next week. And then I sat down with a couple of girls that I had seen around school before, and they were nice, and we became friends. We weren't super close friends, but I sat with them for the rest of the semester, actually for the rest of the year, because I ended up in another semester. A couple of them happened to be in the same lunch period, and then they came to my table with my friends, right? Because that's where they felt comfortable. They saw one person, that was me. They're like, "Oh, I know him. I feel comfortable around him," and so they came to my table, right? So basically, if you want an opportunity to get into a group of people, just go to the group of people and join in at lunch. Lunch is an easy way to do that because everyone's expecting, like, "Oh yeah, there's only so many seats. You don't know anybody. It's fine. You can sit here. That's fine. I get it." Right. And so in that environment, it's very open and acceptable for you to go sit down with a group of people and start to get to know them. And just like my experience, you might find, okay, this group of people, maybe they're not going to be great people to be around. It's not going to be any hard feelings if I just go sit down somewhere else. So let's just do that. So let's go find another different table next week. You know, and another thing on your level of maturity, here's the thing. This will help you out a lot. Don't expect other people to be as good as you, but also don't expect yourself to be better than other people. people are different,
Mm-hmm.
and they're at different parts of their life, and they're at different levels of their maturity. And you will find some people, because this has happened to me many times. I have met with some people who, you know, I'm just like, wow, this person's crazy immature. And I have this idea in my brain that they are. And then they do something that totally I did not expect. Like, that's like really going out of their way to just handle things in a really good, calm manner. And I'm like, dang, where'd they get that from? That was really mature. Like, that's even more mature than me, in some things. Like, so don't, just because they seem immature because they're making those jokes, right? Like sexual jokes and stuff like that. I get it. And I'm not a big fan of that either. But if they're making those kind of jokes, right? You might be like, oh, they're kind of immature, blah, blah, blah. And then the next week you'll see them doing something that's like, wow, that was really mature of them. Like, getting in front of class and vouching for someone who they are not even friends with. And it might even be you, and they're like, yeah, he's innocent, blah, 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 and you're like, well, I didn't expect that kid to, I thought he was only a bully, not a, wow, okay, cool. He's actually a pretty cool guy. People will surprise you. So don't, don't, don't try not to put people down. Try to lift them up. If you see people and they're making those kind of jokes, call them to a higher state of being, a higher state of dignity, right? And how do you do that? Well, one way is just to not necessarily respond to those jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Another way is to just say, hey guys, can we talk about something else, right? But ultimately, how you treat them is usually how they'll become. It's kind of strange, but in a lot of relationships, people become like how you treat them. If you treat people like they're not very smart, they're going to start thinking they're not very smart, and they're going to start acting like it, which is really weird, but it's true. I knew a kid in school, and he was this big guy, and he was really insecure, but everybody thought that he was a big, angry man. And so he actually was angry. He was angry and violent. And I remember talking to him one on one because I ended up being his friend. In fact, he was my brother's friend first. I remember talking to him one on one, and he said, I'm not that kind of guy. I really am not. I'm this huge, gentle giant. Sure, I'm a gentle giant, if anything. I'm really insecure and really sensitive. And they expect me to be angry. And so I don't know what happens to me, but I become angry because that's what they expect out of me. And I thought that was really weird. Like, why do you become what they expect? But then I realized almost everybody does that.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody kind of becomes how other people expect them to behave. If someone expects you to be an upstanding young individual, you tend to act that way. And if people expect you to just be this rebel, you're going to be a rebel. A lot of times it's how it is until you decide for yourself to break that, right? To say, no, I'm not going to be that way. And you fight it off, or, by your actions. But ultimately what I'm saying here is, if you treat people respectfully, right? If you treat them like, if they're the kind of person that tells those kind of jokes and you think, oh, they're kind of immature, treat them like they are mature, because that gives them the opportunity to show that they're mature. And that's why when you expect someone to act a certain way, they start acting that way, is because you are actually giving them the opportunity to act that way. That's it. That's the real reason. So if you give them the opportunity to be dignified in their conversation, to be, that type of person, so that will come out of them, and they'll start to be more of that. So you get an opportunity to be a really great friend. If you see someone who's acting like that in the group, just be a great friend to them. You have to be tolerant. I understand, and it's kind of annoying, but they'll come around. Especially if you get one-on-ones with them. And like Princess said, there's plenty of chances for that. If you start to get into a group of people, there are times where that group conversation will break up into little tiny conversations two people are having. That happens all the time. And when that happens, then you have your one-on-one. Even though it's in a group setting, you have your one-on-one with that person. But that's not a full one-on-one. That's one-on-one in a group setting, right? But now that you get to know that person one-on-one in a group setting, there's higher and higher chances of you meeting that person on an actual one-on-one. Like you're walking through the halls and you guys meet up and you just have a short conversation. And then the next time you guys meet, you have a longer conversation, or you happen to be in the same room together and you just kind of get a quiet place by yourself and you have a real deep conversation or whatever it is, right? So, I think you have plenty of opportunity. My best solution is to find a group. If you really want to be friends with these people, now it's okay where you're at. It's okay not to have a bunch of friends, but if you feel like, hey, I just want more friends at school, then the best thing you can do is not be afraid of what people think of you. Don't hide yourself. Be yourself, because you're awesome, Steven. Just present yourself to a group. And it doesn't mean you have to be loud or obnoxious or whatever. Just get involved with the group. Be there. You don't have to say a whole lot, but just be there in the presence of the group and speak whenever your mind thinks you should speak, and stay quiet if there's nothing on your mind. Or if someone else is speaking and you want them to have the chance to speak, it's just being kind and being courteous, like you already are. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just find a group and go mingle with them. It's not a big deal. I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen? They don't like you? Okay, fine. Go find another group. That one's off the list. All right, next group. Oh, they don't like you either? Who cares? All right, next one. Until you find the group that melts with you well, right? And no one's going to melt with you perfectly, because we're all individuals and we all got problems, but you're going to find someone. And you say, I get where you're coming from, and I'm not just going to chuck your advice out the window, but I would like if there's anything I could do about me being more uncomfortable. That's a great question. Mm-hmm. I think I've talked for a little while, long enough, and I'm sure Joe could probably handle this. But if he doesn't, I can come back to it. But Joe,
I know exactly how I'll handle it. I was about to give it over
to you, so
that's fine. Yeah. I can handle it, because I'm going to handle it with something you always say, and that's embrace the awkward.
There you go.
That's true. Steven, you can do that. Yeah. Sometimes. Okay, so I'll get to the uncomfortable thing in a second. I see you say here it's hard for me kind of to talk when I feel uncomfortable. I totally get where you're coming from. I feel the same way. Here's the thing to remember about people in general. We look at other people like they have it all together. We look at this group of friends. They're this great group of friends, man. And, they're solid the way they are. What are they going to do with me in there? Right? What the heck? They've already got this conversation going. I'm going to just jump in and say something weird. And then they're going to be like, we have this mental conversation going on in our head, right?
Yes, that.
Ryan says, yes, do that.
That's totally me. That's totally me. Oh, they're having this conversation. I'm just going to jump in and say something weird. Yes. I would be like, guys, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Corn has a certain flavor. Thanks. Bye. And they'll be like, what just happened?
Be like,
what just happened to us?
What?
Ooh, yeah, that kid is so weird. And I'll be like, yes, they think I'm weird. And then next time I'll be normal with them,
Yes. No, that's great. And that's one of those things. Ryan has trained himself to embrace those awkward moments and be like, hey, something that's going to make me uncomfortable, I'm going to go do it, because here's the thing. Our level of discomfort, it's like a muscle. The farther we stretch it, the more it grows, our comforts, right? Mm-hmm. So, if you listen to any motivational speaker anywhere out there ever, they will say something about how, you need to get out of your comfort zone. We need to press the boundaries of our comfort zone. And I don't always agree with everything a motivational speaker says, but there is some truth to that. Because really, the more we stay comfortable, the more fearful we get.
That's true.
And the more we retreat into comfort, the more fear takes over. Now, sometimes our lives take a direction and we are thrust into, against our will, a situation that's really uncomfortable and we have nothing else. We can't retreat. We have to handle it, right? And sometimes those are the most beautiful moments. It reveals our character, right? They're very revealing moments. And it also, we grow so much in those moments. Well, we can. We have the opportunity to grow so much in those moments. Or we can fall apart and pick up the pieces and come back together and whatever, right? So, but here's the thing. We have, getting to that point where we can learn where our comfort boundary is and then just nudging it. That's a really important skill to have. And that's something that you can totally do, Stephen. I can tell you this because I've interacted with you personally one-on-one in voice, in the gaming voice channel on Static P Discord, through, direct messages on Discord, all this kind of stuff. Everything that Princess said and that Ryan said about you is absolutely right. You are a good friend. You are. I mean, seriously, I've enjoyed every interaction I've had with you, whether it's playing Minecraft, whether it's just DMing back and forth, when it's really late at night for you and really early in the morning for me because we're kind of on opposite time zones or whatever, but, I've enjoyed every time that I've gotten to interact with you. And it's weird, maybe we feel more comfortable. I don't know if you're introverted like me, but maybe we're more comfortable when it's lines of text or when we're not face to face with another person or whatever, right? But and sometimes it takes a little bit of a warming up period with an IRL person to kind of get to know them, because we kind of all have the same insecurities. Everybody. We do. And we all have to work through them, right? I can tell you that, the way you feel when you're looking around your school at the people that are there, the way that you're like, oh, I don't know, are they going to like me? Is this going to go okay? All these thoughts that we have, I tell you, almost every single one of the people you will look at in that school feels the same exact way that you do. And everybody wants to have a friend. Unless there's something really going on that's, something that needs to be addressed in their thinking. People want friends. And even if they don't think they want friends, they probably need a friend at that point. Right? So here's the key. Think about them. And try to not think about yourself. We go into situations where like, oh man, I wonder if I'm going to say the right thing. I wonder if I'm going to do the right thing. I wonder if they're going to like me. I wonder all this stuff. If we shift that and start thinking about that other person and think, I wonder what makes them tick. I wonder what challenges they're dealing with, because everybody's got stuff they're dealing with. Everybody has something going on in their life. Nobody's life is perfect. Everybody's got something. And I remember sitting in a movie theater one time and I was just watching people walk past as we were, this was obviously before COVID. I haven't been to a movie theater in forever. But I remember doing this and, I'm watching people get up and leave because it was a Marvel movie. And Marvel movies, they always have the very end. There's always some cool thing they put at the end. Except for Endgame. That kind of frustrated me. I waited for those whole credits and, nothing at the end. And I had to pee so bad because that movie was so long. It was crazy. But anyway, I'm watching people leave the movie theater, and I'm just looking at their faces. And they're not looking at me. They're just doing whatever. And I'm looking and I'm like, I wonder what they're struggling with. I wonder what's going on in their life. I wonder what kind of car they're driving. I wonder if that car has problems. I wonder if they have to, here's the thing. It's a car. It's going to have problems because that's what cars do. But anyway, if we can shift our focus away from ourselves and onto the other person and onto the other people, conversation flows so much more naturally. We don't have to think of something to say. We just have to think of something to ask. Hey, how's it going? How's your day? You having fun today? I use that so many times. You having fun today? People answer, and you realize you get your answer immediately. They don't have to say a word. They just look at you. They give you that look like, and they're having a fun day. They give you that look like, and you're like, they're asking in their head, did this guy seriously just ask me this question? No, my day is terrible. I got to deal with this. I got to deal with this. This is stupid. And, you're going to get your answer. But the better we can get at noticing other people, asking questions, and learning about them, our friendships, not only will we get more of them, but they'll become way more meaningful. Way more meaningful. And those relationships will be stronger, and those bonds will be stronger, and they will last a lot longer. And even if you end up being separated from that friend, you will still have warm feelings for them. They will have warm feelings for you. And, the relationship just is much, much stronger in that case. But, so that's key. Understand, everybody feels the same way you do. Most everybody. Everybody's unsure of themselves in some way, shape, or form. Everybody's a little bit insecure about some part of their life. Everybody's got some kind of issue going on. Everybody's got pain. Everybody's got good times. We all have this mixture going on. We're all kind of thrown into the same soup. But then when we present ourselves to the world, the rest of the world looks at us and they're like, hey, I got all my stuff. They apparently don't have anything bad going on. No. We all do. It's okay. So then the key is, like I just said, focus on them. Shift your focus away from you and whether or not you're going to fit in, and more, how can I let this person fit in with me? How can I help this person fit in? Fit into a friendship with me. And then things will flow so much more natural. Stephen, you say, I do understand where you're coming with that. I feel like it's because you can kind of retype stuff on text and other things too. Yep, that's very true. You can edit, you can delete, you can do all kinds of stuff, right? Unless you have clever people you're dealing with, they'll be like, hey, you deleted something. And sometimes they call you out on it.
My text box had 91 messages, but when I clicked, there was only 2. So
Right.
What'd you delete?
You deleted something. Yep. So anyway, but I wanted to encourage you also, Stephen. You are a great friend. Just like Ryan said, just like Princess said, you are. And, these people that get to be your friend that in real life and virtually or everywhere, they're going to be blessed by knowing you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, hey, I hope that sinks in. I know that's a hard message to swallow sometimes, especially if our self-esteem's low or especially if we're going through some troubling times. That can be a really hard thing to swallow, and I'm sorry, but it's true. You're a good friend. Ryan, did you have anything else?
I just want to second what you said, Joe. A lot of the other kids in school, pretty much like 99% of them, they're thinking the same thing. They're thinking, geez, how do I make friends? People are awkward. I'm afraid of what people think of me. I've got all these insecurities. I don't want anybody to look at my face. I've got this on my face. I don't want people to see that. So please don't look at me. Which is a nose, and my nose is too big, or my left eyebrow has a hair on it, and I forgot to get rid of it this morning.
I only have one dimple because my face is lopsided, and
one eye is higher than the other, just like everybody else's. Everybody's got something that they're insecure about at school, so understand that you're not weird. And in fact, it makes you a lot easier to get to know people because you know that, hey, like, you want to help them. Let me tell you, what Joe said also is absolutely true. While I gave the example of like being crazy and just being like, yeah, I'm that weird kid. I don't mind if you think that about me. In fact, that's fantastic if you think I'm weird. That's cool. At the same time, it's really important, like what Joe said, is stop thinking about yourself and think about them. If you're going to have a conversation with someone, if you want to make a friend, talk to them. Get to know them. Ask them questions. Let them speak. And do it for them, not for you. Because that's what a good friend is anyways, right? A good friend is someone who's willing to help the other person, who's willing to suffer for the other person, to get the best for the other person, right? So you can be a good friend by acting like a good friend. If you want to really know how to make a good friend, you say there's all these groups around, and that's true. But let me tell you, in my school, that was true too. But there were certain things, like I had band practice, and there was band in the morning. And one time I saw this girl, she was sitting alone that day. She was putting her instrument together. And so I sat down in the seat next to her. And it's a girl I knew all throughout high school, or all throughout school rather. And I sat down next to her, and I was like, this was at the beginning of this was like probably the second or third time I was deciding, like, okay, I'm going to start stepping out of my comfort zone and sitting down next to random people and just striking up a conversation. And so I went to her. I think she was my second person that I ever did it to. And I just sat down next to her in the seat, and she was putting her flute together. And I said, hey, I just want to let you know that I've always thought this, but your hair is, I think it was her hair. I think I pointed at her hair. I was like, it's really nice. I've always thought that. I've just been afraid to say it. I just want to let you know, I think your hair is really nice. And she looked at me and she was like, thanks. I was like, yeah, you're welcome. And I got up and left. And let me tell you, that didn't create a friendship. It didn't. But she never looked at me the same again. She always smiled at me from that day on. Even though I never said anything to her again, she never really said anything to me again. She smiled at me when I saw her, and I smiled at her. And that's good, right? And it was through that, it's through doing that I was able to get the courage, go outside my comfort zone and become more comfortable doing that, right? So I had to take a couple of steps. So that was my first and like second, maybe uncomfortable moment. Then I had the next one, I had the next one, I had the next one. And then next thing I knew, I was making friends, right? With people in one-on-one situations and in group situations. But even if it doesn't turn out to be a friend, when you put yourself outside of your comfort zone, you're still, like Joe said, you're stretching that muscle, and you're building that muscle up. So yeah, I'm just really hammering down on what Joe said because it's absolutely true.
The only problem with that is that your comfort zone expands, and so what was uncomfortable becomes comfortable, and so then you have to find a new uncomfortable.
Well, so you start to get, yeah, you're right.
That's the thing, but that's growth, right? That's personal growth, and so that's a good thing. But it is kind of frustrating because it's like, there's always another level,
which is great. We're glad that there's always another level. There's no,
it's like infinity levels.
It's cool.
You never beat the game.
You never beat the game until you died.
The Ender Dragon always respawns, and he's always harder.
That's great. Awesome.
Sorry, I totally interrupted you, Ryan.
I love it. No, that was it. I was actually handing it back over to you. So
Oh, gotcha. I don't really have much else except Steven, I love you. You're awesome. I
nice.
you know, I love hanging out with you. I love talking to you. And other people will love that too. Okay? So rest assured, you can do this. It's okay. And if you fail at a couple times, if you stumble all over yourself, with your words or whatever, and you screw up miserably, it's okay. You're probably not going to do something so bad that you'll be ostracized by everybody in your school for the entire rest of your school career.
Yeah. And it's okay to be honest with
Yep.
yourself. Like, just say, hey, guys, I'm sorry, I'm nervous. I've never really done this before, so I'm trying to get good at this. So bear with me.
Yeah.
And it's okay to do that. People will relate to that. People will be like, wow, that kid's awesome. That kid's awesome for saying that. Because I would be too afraid to say something like that, even though it's the truth and it's honest, and people will respect you for it.
Yep. So here's a really cool saying I heard, and I'm gonna just kind of close down with this, unless Ryan has something to add.
No.
But instead of trying to be impressive and interesting to other people, practice being impressed and interested in them. So just flip it over. Most of the time we want to go in and say something funny. We want to say something impressive or interesting, so people will be interested in us and impressed by us and all this kind of stuff. So we spend a lot of our time thinking. And here's the other thing. In a conversation, how much time are you spending listening to what the other person is saying versus how much time you're spending thinking of what you're going to say? Because I've been caught doing that. I've been caught trying to think, oh, I'm going to say this really clever thing and it's going to be so cool. And then, but I'm not paying attention to what they're saying. And it doesn't matter how impressive and cool and interesting the thing I say is. If I didn't listen to them, the connection is not as strong. So practice being impressed by other people and being interested in them rather than trying to get them to be interested in you and impressed by you, because that's going to make them feel good about themselves. And as Ryan has said many, many times on this show, it's not about how, what is it?
It's not about how good you look to them.
Yes.
It's about how good they look to themselves.
Yes, while they're around you. Thank you.
Yeah, while you're in their presence.
Like Ryan always says. Ryan, say it.
There it is.
But anyway, hey, Steven, you're awesome. Thank you so much for the topic. This is a really, really important one for all of us. We all have to be reminded of this, myself included. Because
yeah, Joe.
I know, right?
I'm just kidding. Me too.
But you're awesome. Thank you again. And yeah, stay in touch, man. So with that, we'll move on to the next. Let's see. What do we got here?
We got her.
Oh, we got her. Hey, looks like we have a new one from Meow. We've got How to Be Content by Joe.
How to be content. You're doing it right now.
Yes, right at this moment. It's funny. Joe posted that when he hosted the show with me.
Yeah, and
when
then
you were gone, and then you guys,
right.
and it's still here. He's been on the show twice, and his own topic has not been done. Oh, that's funny. But all right, I'm gonna go down the list real quick. And Kendra, do we have one from Kendra as well? When did you post yours, Kendra? Do you see one, Princess?
I don't see one from Kendra here.
I'm wondering where.
I do not in the main page. Let's see if it's in the. Okay, she posted the side page. I will adjust that.
Okay, cool.
Just give me a moment.
Yes,
cool.
It was on the main Don't Worry Wednesday page.
Yes,
Not
but it
on
wasn't on the main
on
page
the
that we
on,
look at. It wasn't in the
exactly.
questions and topics. It was in the main page, which is the side page to me.
Yes, right on. Hey,
Better perspective.
Steven, love you, man. Take care, okay?
Yeah. Bye bye.
Okay, so
Yum.
then we got to figure out. All right, we got. I'll just go through the list real quick. Ian Lom, Ezekiel Games, Dracon, LG, Toast, Immature Success, Joby, Anonymous, Amira, and Meow,
And Kendra.
and Kendra. And I know I've seen Meow is here and Kendra is here. And I don't know if we'll get to them both. We might.
We might be
We
able
started
to.
a
I know
little
that
late.
they both posted today. I don't know whose was first, but
That's a good question. Let's look at the website. Boom, boom.
Meow, I
Kendra's
got a
was
question.
technically first.
Yep.
Yeah, I was
I'm
about to
gonna need.
say.
I'm gonna need time to set it up though too.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's fair.
All right. So should we do Meows and then Kendra's?
Yeah, that sounds good. We'll do Meows and Kendra's, and then Princess can set Kendra's up while we do Meows.
Yeah. Thank you.
Is that all right by you, Princess?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Sounds like a plan. So yeah. So let's roll with it. Let's see.
Roll.
Ah, I just had a ding go off in my head. Stop it. There we go. All right. All right, there's the link right there. And this is from Meow. And it is called Sinking. And Princess, when you're ready.
Sinking,
Perhaps.
sinking. Anxiety is a chain, pulling me down, down, down. Sinking and sinking. Everything I do adds a link to the chain. Clank, clank, sinking and sinking. The chain gets heavier the deeper I go. Sinking, sinking, drowning, drowning. Everything my mind touches, the chain traps. Everyone tries to help, but the chain only grows. I'm the only one who can break it, but I'm stuck in a tangled mess. Lost in the deep, can't see the light, stuck in the silence, wish to speak. Drowning, drowning, sinking, sinking. Thanks. From Meow.
I love that you ended this with thanks. it's like a dark poem followed by thanks.
Yeah. Kind of like thanks for all the darkness, like thanks world and universe and right?
Yeah. Obviously he's thanking us for
right.
doing the topic, but it's just like, that's a great poem ender.
Yes. No, I hear where you're coming from, Meow. I understand. I've had bouts with anxiety, many of them throughout my lifetime. Anxiety, depression, all kinds of fun stuff like that. And yep, to feel like you're sinking, to feel like you're alone, to feel like each day kind of gets darker than the one before, to feel more and more separated from the world around you, from the people around you. If you believe in God, even God can feel distant. There's all kinds of things that can happen with this, and it can feel like just this huge weight pulling you down. And so I can relate. And I know how hard it can be. And I really appreciate that you put this in the form of a poem, because sometimes poetry and the power of the way words are put together in poetry adds to the punch, the significance, of what you might be going through. And it's wonderful. So anyway, I'm very interested to hear what Ryan says.
Yeah, I'm interested in what I'm going to say too, because I don't know what it's going to be yet.
Oh,
I want to say that
I'll keep talking then. No, I'm just kidding. Nope, Ryan, you do your best
right.
work when you just riff. So go for it.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, on top of what Joe was saying, poetry is an amazing form of art because it uses words to describe something words beyond words. Basically, when words can't quite get across the feeling enough, You use poetry to explain something with words beyond what words can explain, which is an amazing thing. Um, there was a poet who would often uh, use poetry to praise God, and I thought that was a beautiful idea. And someone was speaking about him, and it was just that. It was they would write because they couldn't find the words to say to exclaim their despair or to exclaim their joy, to exclaim their or to explain their 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 love of God. And so they would write poetry because poetry could get those thoughts clearer, and like you can put time and effort into the words to give the words even more weight and value. It's more than just words. It's now something you've put time and invested into to really put that feeling out there. So if anybody's into poetry, I think that it's hard to I hope that my explanation of it did it justice, but it's a beautiful form of art.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like how you use this meow. It's very lyrical. It is very rhythmic, what you've written, so I liked it a lot. I like rhythmic poetry. Um, but anyways, um, yeah, it feels like you are basically tied up with a chain, and you have to break it, but it's tied around you so you can't use your muscles correctly. At the same time, you're also drowning, and it's very dark.
Mm.
Um, and that's the analogy here that you're sharing with us in this poetry. And I think that that does a very good job of explaining the feeling of going through life when it seems to get harder and harder, and there's nothing to really brighten the area, to pull you out of the water, to brighten the brighten your surroundings so you can see and figure out where you need to tug at the chain. Even though you recognize there are people who are trying to help, people who are helping you, but yet it still seems like it's not enough. That's one thing I would like to talk about is when other people are helping you and it's still not enough. I think that's going to happen in your life a lot. And yeah, you get this feeling of, okay, there's all these people trying to help me, and I appreciate that. And I'm not trying to turn them down, but it's not helping me enough to get out of this. And ultimately, I know it's on me to get through this. Sometimes it's more than just you, which is an interesting thing. Sometimes it's not enough that people help you, and sometimes it's not enough that you try. Really, a lot of times in life, I'm going to give you an example of something. This example will help you understand. They did a study, a lengthy study, on a bunch of very successful individuals, successful in the terms of running a large business, earning a lot of money, blah, blah, blah. They did a study on them to find out what was similar between all of these people. And, they found some things, and then just a couple of people would be different, and they found some things like, oh, this has got to be it. It's the way that they think about this matters. It's the way they think about finances. And like, no, this guy's completely off. That's totally not right for him. He's terrible with his finances, and yeah, he's successful. That doesn't make any sense. Why? Who knows? And then, oh, they had great ideas. And, then you're like, no, that guy actually didn't have a great idea. He stole someone else's idea. That's not good, but he's successful. And so they try to find all these different things about what it was they were doing. And the answer was ultimately, they basically shared one thing in common. They didn't quit. Persistence. You've heard probably the phrase persistence is key. Persistence. That was it. It was when the chips are down, when you have no chips left, you have nothing to gamble with, you have no money, and they're still in it. In fact, almost all of the people that were successful at one point or another were dirt poor. Some people actually living in their car on the streets because they lost their house, like Robert Kiyosaki, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I think that happened to him twice. And the guy who started Walmart, very, very, very poor.
Mm-hmm.
Very poor. And his whole family said, dude, you got to stop with this Walmart idea. You got to stop. You keep on spending all our money and it's terrible. And yeah, that wasn't good for his family. But you know what? He didn't give up on his idea. He provided for his family while that was happening. And yeah, they all suffered. But you can't get anything great out of life if you don't suffer. And it's not like he was trying to put his family through the suffering because he hates them. He was trying to make something for his family because they were going to suffer either way.
Mm.
And he just wanted to make the suffering worth something. So he didn't quit on his idea. It was persistence. Pretty much everybody who has that kind of wealth that didn't just inherit it, it's persistence that gets them that. And that's true for our souls. That's true for our hearts. That's true for our minds. And that's true for our bodies. Persistence is important. If you stop training your body will slowly get worse and worse. If you stop training your heart will get worse and worse. If you stop training your mind will get worse and worse. And if you stop training your soul will get worse and worse. So here's the thing though. No matter what you're training, whether you're mind, body, soul, finances, friendships, relationships, anything in life, if it requires persistence, there are going to be times where it feels empty. There are going to be times where it's hard and you don't see any reward. But it's those few people who decide, I'm going to keep on training. I'm going to keep on trying and trying. It's those people who end up successful. So sometimes it's not that you need to do anything different. Sometimes it's not that you need any kind of new advice. Sometimes it's just that you have to keep on holding on because your mind is taking shape, but it doesn't take shape quickly. You know, this is kind of interesting in the Bible, and I think you're a religious person. You can say so in the chat if you're not, but it's fine. Either way, in the Bible, God teaches his people, right? And he does so very, 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 very gradually, like over centuries.
Mm-hmm.
He slowly teaches them. Why? Why that slow? Why does it take him that long to teach them? Well, even today, this era, we have the fruits of that form of teaching. Human morals across the board right now, even though you think, oh, wow, the world's a disaster. There are people who are just terrible. And there are certain parts of the world that are at war and it's stupid and blah, blah, blah. You take the morals of humankind across the board right now in this era, and you weigh them against people 2,000 years ago, weigh them against people 4,000 years ago. 4,000 years ago, people didn't even consider murdering other people a bad thing. They just did it. Mm-hmm. Like, not even joking. Mm-hmm. That was the thing. You just like, oh, I don't like the way that you spoke to my family, so I will kill you. I will go to your house and I will kill your people and your family. And then people are just like, yeah. See, in the Bible, they have our term, eye for an eye. And you'd be like, where's that come from? Why would God say an eye for an eye? Because before God gave the rule, an eye for an eye, it used to be an eye for a life. Oh, that person stabbed me in the eye and took my eye out. I'm going to kill him. Mm-hmm. That was 4,000 years ago. Then 2,000 years passed. Then it was an eye for an eye. That person took out my eye, so I'm going to take out their eye. Now what happens? Oh, that person took out my eye. I'm going to hinder them financially. I'm going to send them to jail, but they're going to still be healthy. Like they get good, decent treatment there. They get food, etc. We don't kill people. We don't take their eyes out. We just, we do try to kind of get rid of them, like out of our sight, but you get what I'm saying? Like morals across the board right now are higher than they were 1,000 years, 2,000 years, 3,000 years, 4,000 years, especially. Human sacrifices, they don't happen anymore. Child sacrifices, they don't happen anymore. Really. Maybe
not
very
anywhere
rarely.
I've known.
Yeah.
Not anywhere I know of.
Yeah. So my point is that slow, very gradual teaching is how God decided he wanted to teach his people. And it took many generations of people to teach morals. And that's true to our minds and our souls and our hearts and our bodies. You cannot suddenly break a link of a chain. You wear it down. Right? Or it doesn't, you tug at it, and it slowly bends until you can get the link out, right? I'm trying to tie my example into your poem if you didn't quite understand that. You don't suddenly just appear in the top of the water if you're drowning. You swim out. And depending how deep you are, you got to keep on swimming. And if you just give up swimming, you're just going to go slowly back down again. So persistence, you got to keep on swimming upwards. And it might feel like you're getting nowhere. In fact, sometimes there might be a situation in the water, a funnel, and it just pulls you back down and you start all the way back at the bottom again. But if you give up there, you're still tied to that chain. You're still going to be sinking. No, you got to keep on swimming, even if it pulls you down. Keep on swimming. And eventually you're going to reach the surface. And you're going to see that bright, beautiful sunlight that rests upon the water and reflects so beautifully. So sometimes it's not that you're doing anything wrong. Sometimes it's not that you need any new advice. Maybe there is something, but many times things don't change overnight. Things change gradually. But the reason our minds change gradually is for the better. Why? If people changed in an instant, oh my gosh, that would be a nightmare. But if people changed in an instant, there would be no foundation. It's the slow learning process that creates a foundation that we can stand on. When we practice something over and over until we get it down to, we don't even have to think about it. We can just do it without thinking, like walking, for example. We can walk and talk and think and whatever, juggle all at the same time. Maybe you can't juggle, but whatever, play with a ball in your hand. You can do so many things and you're not even remembering that you're walking, but you're walking. You're just saying to your brain, oh, I got to get over there. So you start walking. You don't even think about it. It's foundational. You know how many times you fell over trying to walk the first time? Probably 100. And then once you finally could walk, how many times you fell after you could finally walk a little bit? Probably a lot more than 100. And that's how it is, because it's training that creates a foundation for us to stand on. If we don't have that foundation, our mind lingers, and one day will be the best day of our life, and the next day, and nothing is different, it'll be the worst day of our life. And because our perception is all over the place and we don't know what right from wrong or anything, because we don't have a foundation. So it's okay that it takes a long time to learn. Just remember that it takes a long time to learn for your benefit. It takes a long time to change your perception of the world, or to get out of that sinking feeling, to get over your anxieties. It takes a long time, because what you're doing is you're creating a foundation that's solid. If it wasn't an instant, that means you could lose it in an instant, right? If you were to gain the ability to no longer be anxious in an instant, that means you could also gain the ability to become anxious again in an instant. What you're trying to do is get rid of your anxiety.
Mm.
So it's going to take some time, so that if it was to ever go backwards on you, it would take time again to lose it, right? If someone builds a bunch of muscle mass, they don't just lose it in one day if they stop exercising. It takes a long time for that muscle mass to come back down. And you're doing the same thing with your mental practicing. So keep at it. You know, you're awesome. So just be persistent. And I know I talked for a long time about that. I really try to get through your head because it's crucial. Anyways, I'm going to go over to Joe, see what he's got to say about it.
I don't have much after that, man. That you handled it beautifully. So I will say, go back and listen to what Ryan had to say. And practically speaking, I have one little tidbit that might help. And that is, find a step forward and take it. Just one step. Just 1 inch. Like Ryan was talking about. You know, these changes are gradual. These things happen. But the beautiful thing is we can tell when we're moving in a forward direction, and it lightens the load. It really, really does. Sometimes it's as simple as, you know, I mean, I've gone through this where it's like everything just seems so overwhelming. And there's so much going on. It's just like I've got so many things I got to do in so many different directions, and it's hard, and it's all painful, it all stinks, and it's ridiculous. But one step might be sending a text message to a friend to see if he has any recommendations on counselors. Another step might be filling out the online form for the counselor, right? To have them call back to set an appointment, right? Those little steps. Don't take it in such a big chunk to say, like, okay, so let's say this, in this instance, it was counseling. Where it's like, all right, I got to find a counselor, or I got to find a therapist, or I got to find a psychiatrist, or I got to do whatever, right? That's a daunting task, especially when you're depressed and anxious. But to send a text message to a friend to see if he knows of anyone, that's not so bad.
Yeah, that's a step. You did something about it.
Yep. And then after you talk to that friend and you get some recommendations, then, you know, then sends you a link and you go to their website and you fill out the little online form and you're just like, hey, that's another step, right? So everything can be broken down into little steps. And if you're struggling really, really hard with anxiety and depression, there are people who have training in how to help. And, you know, like there are professionals that know what they're doing in these areas and they know how to help. And it's, you know, sometimes we get to that point. But anyway, find those little steps. Find those little 1 inch moves that you can make that move you forward. And coupled with what Ryan was talking about these changes being gradual, here's the interesting thing. We get started, we're moving forward. It might be a little bit painful, but it's exhilarating, right? And it feels good because we know we're doing the right thing. It's like with exercise, right? It's hard, we're working hard, but we get that reward of, you know, man, I did something and it was good. Here's the thing. When you hit your goal and your training program is over, that doesn't feel so good anymore. It felt better when I was making the moves forward than after I had hit the goal I was looking for, which was, you know, it was a good moment, right? But it doesn't last. It feels better when we're moving forward. We look at the goal and we worship the goal. We're like, oh man, the goal is what I'm looking for. And goals are great. It's good to run after goals. We need to do that. But the real point of the goal is not hitting the goal. The point of the goal is to become a person that works toward goals. And it's amazing because that's where we're going to feel the best, is when we're moving. After we hit the goal, we celebrate, it's over, it's done. I have a quote that I put on my whiteboard. It says, what is it? I'm drawing a blank. Oh, to live your dream is to work constantly in its arena. Achievement is momentary and fleeting and therefore overrated. Even though we work for the achievement and we praise the achievement, we look, oh man, it's such a great thing. Yes, the achievement, the gold medal, the whatever, right? And that is a great moment. But then the moment's over. But your dream is that life that's lived in pursuit of the achievement. And getting rid of anxiety is a worthy achievement. Or at least calming it down some. And I'll tell you this. I don't know how severe, I don't know how deep it is. I don't know for sure. But if you can find steps forward, just little ones, that'll be what makes you feel best. So, Ryan, did you have anything else?
No, I think we're good.
Awesome. Thank you, Meow, so much. You are amazing. And I'm really glad that you shared this. It gives us a chance to, talk about stuff that a lot of people deal with, man. I'm telling you. It's awesome. Yeah. So thank you. And let's move on to Kendra's. I think we got enough time. We started a little late. Yeah. I'm the host anyway. We're going to do it. Meow, thank you again. You're awesome. And we will do Kendra's. Princess, are we in a position to be able to do Kendra's? Maybe?
Yes. I may have gotten a little bit distracted, and for some reason I can't seem to change the title. But
that's all right. You can still post a link, or I can post a link.
Yes, I can still post a link, and I can get you the thing after you guys start.
Okay.
That'll be good.
Yes, that would be great. So, yes, this is going to come from Kendra. It's called Stuff Has Happened. And Kendra, it's always a pleasure to see you. Kendra's been with us for a while, with us, and then, doing other stuff, and then come back, and it's always wonderful to have you.
Yeah, so. Kendra is so sweet. Really like her.
So you can click that link right there. It will take you to the topic, and you can read along while Princess reads it for us. So, Princess?
Hey folks, it has been a while. Lots of stuff has happened since the last time I was on here. Recently, the old Shopco building was purchased by my town's rec center. They plan on putting a jump craze type thing in there, along with a walking track and even an archery or shooting range. Anyways, this man was hired to clear out all that was left in the building, and he could take what he wanted or even sell what was in there. My parents have been so supportive of me and have been helping me to get my business in full gear. I thank God for them being my parents. Anyways, for $100, we took as many shelving units as we wanted. These shelving units will be used to help me store my art supplies as well as display my art.
Nice.
Speaking of art, I was asked to donate an art piece for the church to help with raising money for a new roof and heaters. I was very ecstatic about it. I recently went and worked out last night with my brother, since this week we'll be taking him to his first year of college. And I've been trying to read the Bible more and give just a little bit more of my time to God. But while this has been great, there have been some things from the past coming back. I don't remember if I ever talked about this, but I think I did at some point. I used to work at Next Door Pizza, NDP. in my town, and long story short, I wasn't really treated well there. Ever since I left NDP, they have lost so many people, partly because people were being talked about behind their backs.
Mm.
Recently, my parents went and ate inside, and the manager had yelled at me in front of customers, came up to my parents, and asked them if I was finished working at Eaton Treats, ENT. We just closed for the season since all of our help is now back in school. But not only that, but Grandma, our boss, needs a break. Anyway, my parents told her that they would talk to me, and from what my parents told me, she looked really desperate. She said that even if I came in 2 times a week for 2 hours, she would appreciate it. To me, it feels like a bit of karma for them. I do feel bad that they're desperate for help, but I'm still a bit salty with how they treated me. And I'm still decompressing from when I was working at ENT this summer. There were a lot of really rude people this year, and it brings the mood down a bit, you know? It'd be great to make a little extra money to help me through these next few months, but I'm not so sure. I really want to focus on getting my own business going, and it was already hard enough getting my business going when I was working every day at ENT from 11 to 7. My mom says that I should just think about it and write down a list of requests if I'm going to go back to work for them, which is a good idea, but even so, I'm still very unsure about it. All I can do at this moment is pray. Sorry this was long, and thanks for listening. Much love. God bless. Kendra.
Wow. Thank you, Kendra. And yes, this is a very good topic. I've been in this position before. I'm sure Ryan has too. Where you get an opportunity and you're forced to choose. Okay, what's more valuable to me right now? Is it the money that I'm going to get from this, or is it the time that I'm going to be spending doing that? Right? And is there a way I can balance it? Is there a way that this is going to work? You've got another layer of this where you were treated poorly by these people. And so now there's this little, I don't know if I want to go back and suffer that abuse again. And so you're kind of in a position where, yes, like this list of requests your mom says you could do, you could be like, hey, I'll work for you. But I tell you what, the first time you get in my face, I'm out immediately. And just lay it out. You don't have to say it like super strongly like that. You don't have to be like in their face about it. But like you said, it sounds a little bit like they're a little desperate. And so if they're asking you to come back and work, you kind of do have a little bit of power in your corner of saying, you know what, hey, I got a list of demands here, hey, I'll work from 11 to 1 with an hour break.
Wait, where do you put that hour? At 11:30 to 12:30?
Yep.
Oh man.
Well, I know that's a joke, obviously, but you do have.
Oh, that's so great.
You got some things going for you here. But then the question is, hey, you've got this you've got a business you want to get started. You've got stuff you want to do here. What's more valuable? Most of the time, people, when they're looking back over their life, it's the time that's more valuable. What did I spend my life doing? What did I spend my time doing? Did I spend it in pursuit of the things I really cared about, or did I spend it doing things? Now, if the money's going to help you in pursuit of your art business, then that's something to consider as well. I'm going to say one last thing before I turn it over to Ryan. I had an opportunity to do a lot of inspections recently. I'm a property inspector, most of you guys know. And it was like an extra 700 inspections.
That's a lot.
Which is a lot. I had 3 record-breaking inspections days in
Which was
that
a lot.
pursuit, which was a lot. But here's the thing. My dream is not to be a property inspector, but I have large portions of that money, that extra income that I would get, earmarked for future projects for Black Static and Swerve, if equipment that I'm going to get, all these things. So that money that I did that extra work for is going to feed my dream. And it's going to take care of some other personal stuff as well. But so that's something to consider as well. Would the money you would make help in the pursuit of what your dream is here, what your business is? So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan. Ryan, take it away.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for that startup, Joe. Very good and logical points. I'm gonna approach it from my mental. I'm gonna use the word breakdown, but I don't mean like mental breakdown, like oh, I'm so sad. I mean like breaking down my mental understanding or how my brain would process this scenario. So my mental breakdown.
Let's hear your mental breakdown.
All right, very analytical.
Ryan's gonna have a mental breakdown on,
all right.
on camera.
Here's my mental breakdown on Don't Worry Wednesday. Here it goes. That's so sad. All right, that was it. That's about as bad as it gets from me. Sorry,
right.
guys. No. Anyways, so when I am offered opportunities like this, Kendra, you might be like me, and it's possible. I'm not saying that you are. I don't know if anybody is in this room like me in this, but I'm going to tell you what I experience when these type of things happen. Just in case, Kendra, you feel the same way. When someone comes to me with an opportunity or a request, more like, or more so, it's hard for me to turn them down because I don't want to, I don't want to be the guy that turns them down. I don't want to, I would like them to be successful and I would like them to be happy. And I know that maybe they're counting on me, and to be the person that turns them down just kind of stinks for me. However, I've gotten to learn to turn people down more and more. And realize that it's not a bad thing to turn people down, that it's okay to do that. And it's okay to let other people struggle. It is okay to let other people struggle. See, in my mind, when I see this, I instantly go, oh, they're struggling. They need someone to help them. And they're coming to me. It would be like storing treasure in heaven if I were to say yes to them. Because I have nothing to gain. I don't need the money. And this is a waste of my time. But it helps them. So yeah, I'll do it. Is a lot of the times how I react to this sort of thing. Like I said, it'd be like storing treasure in heaven. It's just doing not necessarily the right thing, but doing something that is demanding and sacrificing in order to create more good. Right? Yeah, you said I don't like putting people down, and I also have and I also have just learned over the past few years to say no to people, mostly because I have gotten hurt more when I have helped people. Yes. And that's why I'm saying this, because usually when I say yes to a request, it's me putting myself in the position of sacrificed, right? I'm the one being sacrificed. So I'm the one that has to put up with their rude comments. I'm also the one that has to spend my time doing something for nothing for me, and it's really for them, and etc. Right? And that sounds like, why would I put myself through that way? Like I said, it allows me to put myself aside and to be a person who is willing to sacrifice for a stranger, willing to add more good into the world. And I think that's a beautiful thing to do. If you don't see it that way, don't start trying to, because either you're called to view things that way or you're not. God gives each of us different hearts and different ways of thinking. God gives us each a different mind, a different soul. We all have our own challenges and battles. Okay. So I'm not trying to tell anybody in this chat to, or in listening, to be that way. I'm just giving you my own mental breakdown of the processes that go and the ideas that cross my mind if I were to be offered this position. Joe is a lot more analytical, like you experienced. He says, "Oh, is it worth my time? What's the value of it?" And Joe's example is awesome. It's so perfect because it puts things in the right order. It puts things in order of the value of like, hey, what is this actually doing for me? Like, am I trying to get more money? Then maybe this is an opportunity for me. And is that money there to help me with my dream? Or do I need more time for my dream? And it's not really money that I need, it's time. Or maybe it's a little bit of both. And so you can find a compromise between both and you can accept the opportunity and get, but make sure you only have so many hours a week so that you have time. Right. And that was me for a long time. You know, the first 9 years I was trying to work on my YouTube or just be a musician in general. It was getting part-time jobs where I had time to work on my dream as well as get money to survive. So that was what I did. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a great method, and everyone should do that if they feel called to do that, if they can afford it. But yeah, so what I would say is, like you said, you're getting more used to saying no, and it's spared you some trauma, and I think that's great. It's important to say no. Not all opportunities are good. And here's the thing. It's okay, like I said, to let other people struggle. If their position is they don't have enough workers, there's a reason for that. And they're likely reaping what they've sown. Right? Now, they need time to learn from their mistake, right? So they can be better at treating their employees. So people do need to give them second chances to see, hey, have you learned? So Joe's example of, all right, the first time anyone snaps at me, the first time you guys, are distasteful towards me, I'm out of here. You really want to test those waters. You really want to make sure that they're learning from their mistakes, because you have the opportunity to help them not only in the position of their finances through working with them, but also in the position of their humanity and their dignity. How are they treating other people? Is it good? Is it well? Are they going to treat you well when you come back? That's important. In fact, I would say that's even more important, because that's the whole reason they're losing their business in the first place, right? So those are a couple of things to keep in mind. I'm going to leave it up to you to decide. But as I said, I've turned even when I see there's good in something, I'll usually turn an idea down, or people will be asking me for music, and I'll say, hey, why don't you do more on your project and get back to me once it's almost done? Because there are too many times where I've jumped into a project unfinished and I do a bunch of work for it and then they all quit. And it's happened to me a couple of times. And it's like, that's not a good experience. So obviously this is a different position. You're being hired to work, not paint. Your other source of income and opportunities and your dreams. But yeah, to be in the position where you're kind of in charge is important. You don't, a lot of times people become employees because they need the money, and so they're willing to obey the rules of whatever is thrown at them. But it's a lot better to be in a position where you have power. Why? Not just because, oh, I have power so I get to make rules. Having that power gives you the ability to do better. It gives you the ability to decide how much good you want to make out of something. And it doesn't put you in a position where you're just listening to other people's rules. You're actually like, having power means you get to do more and have more respect and all of that kind of stuff. So it's not like, oh, it's a struggle for power. but it is a struggle for being free to do the right things and being free to make sure the right things happen, right? A lot of employees put up with a lot of crap because they don't get to make the rules and they don't get to say, oh, my boss is terrible because it's their boss that's treating them terrible. They don't have any ability other than to quit. They're already in the position where they're lacking that. So now you come in with a bit of power behind you so you can force the right things to happen. Does that make sense? And that's the value in that. Not having power, but just that you can now have the freedom to make sure that they're learning from their experiences. So if you decide to go back, I encourage you to look at it from that angle. Encourage you to see things from that giving perspective. Or like as Joe said, money that helps to pay for your bigger vision, your bigger view of life, right? Don't take this on as just a short-term thing, like, I don't know, just a whimsical, oh, they need help and I've got to help them. No, make something good out of it. But anyhow, that's what I got. I talked for a little while, so I'm going to go over to Joe and see if he's got anything he wants to add.
Yeah. Kendra, you have some stuff in the chat about how different working conditions that that they had at this particular place didn't seem to fit you very well. And that's okay. Here's something I wanted to add to this. And, I don't have a whole lot more. But keep in mind something. We value things that are scarce. Right? When something is more scarce, like here's the thing, when they discontinue something, what happens to its price on Amazon?
It goes way up.
Goes ridiculously up. Right?
Toilet paper. Okay.
And here's the thing. So if you say no to them, it will raise your value in their eyes. That might seem backwards because, a lot of times people are like, well, if somebody says no to me, then they're rejecting me. And so they got nothing for me. But here's the thing. You saying no gives you more value. And sometimes, depending on the situation, it's good to say no to their face. Rather than just not call them or not whatever, right? Call them. Set up an interview. Go to the interview. Talk to them. And then decline their offer. That's kind of a bold move. But really, an interview isn't necessarily like Ryan. His point was so key that, most people, they're looking for a job to get some money because they need some money, and so they'll do whatever they can, and so they go to a job interview and they're all nervous because they're like, oh my gosh, like this person's asking me all these questions, they're interviewing me, all this stuff, blah blah blah. You are interviewing them just as much as they are interviewing you for this fit. This is a transaction. You're like, hey, am I going to spend my time here? Are you going to make it worth it? Interesting thing. That extra 700 inspections that I took on, and made that extra money. When I finally took that on, it was the third time they'd asked me. I'd told them no twice before. And they know me well enough. See, now I have a different relationship because I own my own inspections company, right? And so like they come to me and we have to negotiate, right? It's a little different if I was their employee. They'd just be able to be like, hey, go here. We're paying you by the hour. Or we're paying your salary or whatever. You do what we say, right? But in this case, it's a little bit different. I have a little bit of negotiating, and it took a long time to learn some of this stuff. But I've learned over time, the more I say no, the more valuable I am. The more they're willing, I'll be looking at it. I'm like, okay, Dawn, you know what I'm going to ask? Dawn's a manager, right? That may or may not be her name. Um, she'll call me. Hey, can you do me a favor? I got these extra orders over in this area, blah 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 blah, and I can pay this. I'm like, Dawn, you know what I'm going to ask you? Okay, how many? How far? And how much? And if it's going to take me all day, and I'm doing you a favor, and I'm going to make less than $300, no. So if you got 6 orders for me, then they're $50 a piece. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and it can be whatever number, right? Like, because I have costs involved and do all this different stuff, I gotta like be like, all right, if I'm gonna take myself out of my own territory for a day to go to a different territory, I have more than one client, I gotta think about that stuff, right? But here's the thing, I have said no to every single client more times than I've said yes. And it raises my value to them, which is really, really weird. You would think the opposite. But it's not. The more I say no, the more respect they have for me, the more respectful they are when they call, the more they understand, hey, if I need him to do this, I better be pretty doggone desperate. I've even cut people. The most recent time a client called and asked me for a favor, I said no before they even got to the point of telling me how much they were going to pay me. They're like, hey, where are you working today? I'm like, I'm in Lansing. They're like, okay, well, I got these 2 orders. They're really urgent. You know, they got to be done today. And one of them's in this town. I'm like, it's not happening. I'm going to stop you right there. It's not happening. And he was like, okay, well, thanks for taking my call. And that was it, right? But it's like, look, don't waste my time. And you can take this same type of approach. It might, it's interesting because it's not something that comes just naturally to us usually.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, I think, are like Ryan. We want to help people out. We want to do the right thing. We want to be important. We want to do that stuff, right? We want to be significant to them and help them get their stuff done. But it's so crazy, the reverse psychology in this. The person with the most power in a situation, when you talk to the manager about this situation, one of you will have more power. And it's whichever one is willing to walk away from the deal.
Mm-hmm.
If they're desperate and they really want you, and you're willing to walk, that puts you in the upper position. You can decide what you want at that point. You can ask for more money. You can ask for better hours. You can demand better treatment. There's all kinds of stuff you can do in that situation. And while you're doing it, the first time you go through this, you're going to have adrenaline coursing through your body. Your arms and your legs and your face are going to tingle. You're going to be freaked out. Your heart's going to be pounding like crazy because it's like, I've never done anything like this before. I've never like made demands to a potential employer before, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's freaky. But I remember finally the first time we stand up for ourselves in whatever situation it is, whether it's a family situation or a work situation or a school situation, whatever it is, the first time we stand our ground, it's scary and it's exciting and adrenaline goes crazy.
Yeah.
So I'll just prepare you for that. You're going to feel that twinge, that tingle down your spine and and it might shake you up a little bit. So just understand, that'll happen. Yes, Kendra. I'm not a very confrontational person, so I know I'm going to be anxious when I do go and talk to them. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. You don't have to think of it as a confrontation.
That's right.
Because really, you have stuff to do anyway without them. You got a business to create. So it's okay. You're going in to test the waters. You're not going in for a confrontation. You're going in to see, hey, do you have something that's worth my time? I don't know. Let's see. I'll be asking you the questions in this interview, right? Like, why do you want me back? You didn't seem to like me the first time. You really kind of treated me poorly. Like, but I know these things are hard, and that's okay. But I'm just trying to tell you the reality of the situation is you have value. You do. Otherwise, they wouldn't have asked your parents, if you were available to work now. You have value. And if you say no to them, that will make you have even more value. And then because it's like, hey, well, we can't have that employee. Well, now I want him even more.
Yep.
And I'd be
They're
willing to
gonna
pay
feel a
more.
desire to get more. Yeah.
Yep, it's exactly how it is. It's so weird, but that's how humans are wired. But anyway, Kendra, you're amazing. And I'm going to turn it over to Ryan. Ryan, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I just wanted to second the notion when if you say no to them, then they're going to be even more panicked, right? And so they're going to really want someone even more. Which, if you could be that contender, it'd be like, okay, hold on, we can have a no up front. Seriously, I don't really want to, but we can talk about it. How about we have an interview? you know, and the point isn't to play someone. The point isn't to try to reap them. The point isn't to get the upper hand on them or try to steal their money or whatever like that, right?
Selfishly, I've felt that way sometimes, though.
Yeah,
like
yeah. Sometimes
I wanted to play the game.
fair. But the point of anything is the bigger picture,
Right.
right? And so it's the bigger picture is the reason you have to stand up for yourself in these type of scenarios, because otherwise people drift their whole lives away because they never figured out their bigger picture.
Mhm.
People drift their whole lives because they had a bigger picture and then they bought into the idea that dreams never happen because it wasn't happening for them. Why? Because they weren't fighting for it, or maybe they fought for a time but then they weren't persistent, just like I said, or maybe they just got into a position where they didn't have time anymore and then they allowed themselves not to have time for the rest of their life because they didn't try to step up and control it for themselves. You need to in this life. You have to have authority over yourself, and that means how other people treat you, how much other people pay you. That is important. That's part of how that's literally your living standard. What are you deciding for yourself on that? Are you settling? It's important to take authority over your life where you can. And this is one of those fields. So it's okay to tell people no. It's okay to sort of play this game where you're saying, hey, no, not that price. Maybe if you up the price a bit, maybe I could do that, because in this world, we're often fighting for time and money. Well, money is only there to get us resources, but those resources help us build towards our end game, towards our bigger vision, our dreams, how we want to live our life out, our lifestyle and things like that. And that's important because that's what you're going to be doing for your life. So don't think that Joe's recommendation is purely just to try to milk someone.
Right.
It's so that you can actually chase your dream without being a pushover and never doing what you wanted to do with your life. Because it unfortunately happens to a lot of people where they just get sucked into that position and they don't know how to get out because they never take that stand because they don't think they can. because they think if they take a stand, their employer will fire them. And then what? Oh no. Well, good. if I have anything to say about it, good. If they fire, if you're asking for more and they're not giving it, good. Leave, get somewhere else that can. And I understand that's scary. That's scary for a lot of people. It's like, well, I don't have any other kind of income, and so I'm going to lose my house and lose blah blah blah. It's like, I get it. That is scary. But what do you want to do with your life? You want to just get driven over top of with a really big truck and just lay on the road while that happens? Or are you going to get up off the pavement and do something with your life? Like, it's up to you. It's not going to be easy, but you got to stand up for yourself, or else nothing's going to happen. So yeah, anyways, I just wanted to kind of emphasize what Joe was saying and give perspective about the bigger picture. So
yes, it's not just about milking people.
Right.
Yep. So anyway, yep, absolutely, Kendra. You say they pay about $10 an hour, which is only 25 cents more than ENT, but still, I get what you guys are saying. I think I already knew my answer, but I just needed a little outside look to help me. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it just helps to have that outside perspective and sometimes, or that reassurance of, okay, this is kind of what I'm thinking. And then somebody else, maybe out of the blue, maybe you didn't even ask for it, and somebody says, hey, you needed, this would be a good thing to do. And you're like,
and it's 100% okay to say no.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's okay to just be like, nah, I have other time I need to spend somewhere else that's more important for my life. Totally okay.
Yep, absolutely. So yes, don't be afraid to say no. Sometimes we have to. And if there's a history of mistreatment at a place, that's a tough.
I would say no. I'd be like,
that's tough.
No, I don't think so.
Because seriously, like, your mental health is even more important than the money.
Yeah,
it is, because through your mental health, you're going to build your income in the future. And if they trash that, then it's going to restrict your ability to do stuff in the future, right? So, hey, sometimes it's best to just be like, no. I've even laughed sometimes when clients, they'll ask me, I'm like, no. Are you kidding me? No.
Yeah.
But, here's the thing. I don't do it in an offensive way.
Sure.
I know them well enough. I've talked to them enough so where I know that it's going to do. I'm going to turn them down just because I don't really feel welcome there right away. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, that's totally fine. Totally fine. You've got more important things to do anyway, right? So, yeah. So, cool. You're awesome, Kendra. I can't wait to see what you do with artwork. I really am excited. I hope you'll share some of it. But anyway, thank you, Kendra, so much for the topic, and thank you all of you for the topics. We have to close this down. Princess,
for staying late.
Yeah, thanks for staying late. Oh my gosh, and thank you, Ryan, for staying late. And thanks, Princess, for staying late. We have something that needs to be read at the end, right? We're holding off.
We have a lovely little closer for our episode today.
Yes, we do. Do you have a link for it?
I do, and it is in the chat if you would like to read it.
It already is in the chat?
I will read it out, though.
Where is it?
It's in the chat. It's in the bottom.
It's right there in the chat. It's just, for some reason, my chat is slow tonight. I don't know.
Sometimes mine does that, too. I don't know.
I'm just glad it's not the problem where the link doesn't show up at all. That's my only, back of my mind worry sometimes. It's like, is it going to show up? Is it going to show up, or is it going to not?
Yeah, that 1 day or 2 days that happened.
That was so sad. Anyway.
Yes. So this is from Lord Francium, and this is called A Reach from the Ashes. And so, Princess.
Hello. A little preface. I wrote this poem called A Reach from the Ashes as a way to encourage hope and new beginnings when everything seems dark. I hope this can help those of you who feel like there isn't much there to start to find hope and reach for that help you may need. Without further ado, here is A Reach from the Ashes. When your heart fails to start, or your heart slows in the dark, remember, a happy thought is as a spark to a pyre. A call for help turns the tinder into cinders. And if your flame dwindles, I will help you rekindle. For a fire is dire alone. In mass, you are no longer just ash, but a phoenix reborn in fire and brimstone.
Nice.
I like it.
Yeah.
I needed
I like
to
your
hear
use of
that.
hearth. That's great.
Uh-huh.
It's very cool. Nicely done, Lord Francium.
Yes. Thank you, Lord Francium. That, tremendous.
It's a very wonderful poem.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, so you never know whose heart you might touch with something like that.
That's right.
Like we talked about in an earlier topic, you know, we never know what people might be going through. And so every once in a while when we share something, it could really strike a chord.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really
That's right.
appreciate you. I appreciate you a lot, Lord Francium, for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you.
It was very, very awesome. So thank you guys all for being here for Don't Worry Wednesday. We love you.
We
you
couldn't
stuck-
have the show without your support.
Absolutely. You're all lovely and wonderful and amazing. And Ryan, too.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. Look at that face right there. Ooh, it's so good. All right. Well, we will see you next week on Don't Worry Wednesday. Thank you so much for being here. And we will, until then, have a great week.
Bye, guys.
Take care,
See you
guys.
awesome. Much love. Bye-bye.